Morning.
What's this one? This one is always lying.
What?
Or what?
I don't know.
It's always lying there.
All good? Arne, first of all, Virgil said after Tuesday night that he still doesn't know what's happening next season. When do you need to know? When do you want to know what's happening with those three players and who's staying and who's going?
I don't know what's happening next season as well, in terms of results, but that's not what you mean. The only thing I know is that I want Virgil to be here next season, and all the rest is talks about contracts, and that's not what I do over here.
Is it impacting planning at all for next season?
Oh, interesting way of asking things. No, it doesn't. Not for me. No.
Looking ahead to this weekend, though, squad-wise, I'm guessing Trent probably out. Konate, though, is he fit? And therefore, at right back as well, is it a straight choice between Jarell? Maybe Endo could play there?
Yeah, I think maybe even Curtis can play there, but and you can also play with a left-footed defender on the right side, which is what Newcastle are doing at the moment, but then on the opposite. So Trent is indeed not available. He will not be there at the final, but he's still to be assessed for how long it's going to take, but we do expect him back in the end of the season. And what about Ibrahima Konate? We didn't train yesterday, we were a day off, and the day before was recovery, so I expect him to train with us today, but let's see how he is.
Obviously, it's the chance for you to deliver your first trophy at the first opportunity as well. What would that mean to you to get the job done now, particularly as a response to the disappointment of Tuesday night as well?
Well, not about the last thing. That has nothing to do with that. If we win or lose the final, in both situations, it will be a disappointment that we lost against Paris Saint-Germain. We're out of that tournament, but you play games like this, like against Paris Saint-Germain and like against Newcastle now, to win it, and that's also what we're trying to do, and we're really looking forward to it, to playing a final again, because you cannot take a final for granted, especially not in this country with so many good teams involved in every cup competition. So we're looking forward that we are part of it, and if you are part of it, of course, you want and try to win it, but that's probably what Newcastle wants as well.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi Arne. A lot of players in the squad have had their ups and downs over the years. Is it easy for them, because of that experience, to pick themselves up to go into a final, or do you need a little bit of, do you need to kind of put their arm around them and say, let's go again kind of thing?
No, that is the good thing about where we are in the league, and the good thing about where we are now in the League Cup, so that it's a final. Everybody likes to play a final, wants to play a final. That's why, one of the reasons why we go out of bed every morning and come here to train, because you want to win trophies, and this is a chance to win a trophy. So we're looking forward to that, and our league position is, of course, also a reason for us to keep on going. I've said it before, if you have to leave the tournament, I prefer to go out in the manner we did against Paris Saint-Germain than in the manner we did it against Plymouth. So couldn't have asked for more for the players. Their intensity levels were the highest they've been this season. I think the way we started the game, we forced them to so many mistakes. We created a few very good chances, which we usually score. Yeah, I also liked the game because it was pure football where it was about. So I've seen so many games recently and during my life where it's all about time delaying and dives and pretending to be injured and then continue. This was two teams wanted to go all in, attacking wise and pressing wise, without anything to add, just pure football. And again, big compliment for Paris Saint-Germain that they were able to beat such a strong Liverpool team.
And some of the players look physically tired on Tuesday, later on in the game. Have you got any worries over the physicality of it all? But the Liverpool players have gone through lots of extra times in these finals before as well, so you've got no worries about that if it does go into extra time on Sunday?
I think it's in the end quite normal that players are tired in extra time, especially if the 90 minutes were so intense. So and you don't get the reward for that. But I think I made 5 changes. So 5 of the 11 that were on the pitch, and you can exclude the goalkeeper. So 5 out of 10 could never be tired. So I don't think that was the reason why Paris Saint-Germain was better in the last half hour than in the first 90. That had, in my opinion, nothing to do with us being tired. But the players are able. There are 4 days in between to play Sunday again, definitely.
Carl?
Jarell's had a little bit of an up and down season for him, I suppose. But when he's come on for you and done a job at right back, he seems to have adapted quite well. And now he's got an England call, England senior call. What does that say about sort of his attitude and the way he's applied himself?
It says a lot about his mentality. So last season, I think everybody saw what a talent he is. Then the season started with him starting, and I changed him, as we all know, against Ipswich. And Ibu and Virgil were and are such a strong combination that he didn't play a lot. But every time he had to play, except maybe for the first 1 or 2 games. But afterwards, every time he had to play, everybody could see that maybe he's not longer a talent, because as a talent you don't have any setbacks. But the moment you get setbacks, it's about you, how you react. And I think he showed in his recent performances that he outgrew being called a talent. And that's probably what Thomas Tuchel saw and sees as well by calling him up, by giving him a call up. I think that's better to say. And he did really well the last few times he had to play for us. Even on a position he's not completely used to as a right fullback, but in my opinion, he has also the qualities to play in that position. He's strong, he's fast, he's very comfortable with the ball. And it gives us an extra quality if we play him, which we saw in terms of set pieces, because he was the one that was this far away of us qualifying for the next round by heading the ball on the post, because that one was not offside. So yeah, he showed mentality and that he had quality. That's already what we knew when we saw him playing last season.
And he's spoken this season about speaking to you about that decision at Ipswich, which we could have sent him, one way or the other, because he'd take up at half time. You come under a lot of scrutiny, but I guess the fact that say he's recovered from that, but got over that and sort of settled down and buckled down and tried to sort of do the best he can after sort of what could be considered a setback first game of the season.
Yeah. Although if being substituted at half time is a setback, then almost every player has more than a few setbacks during his career. I think it was more that people were a bit like, ooh, the way what I said after the game, that people were not used to maybe a manager or me being so clear about what I saw and what I did. And that, in the end, probably went to a situation that he got criticized more than was normal for a player that was taken off at halftime. And again, it's so good to see that he managed his way back into it. And now, already before the winter break, he already had a few good moments as well. And every time we now need him, he does really well. So I think mentality-wise, it might have been a good or a big moment for him, that Ipswich game, because now he experienced that people were not only positive about him like last season, although he made 1 or 2 mistakes back then as well. He also knows now he can fight his way back if people all of a sudden are not as positive anymore. And that is something I think every player should experience in the start of his career, because a football career is never only going up, it's always going a bit like this. And now he knows he can fight back also after a situation he experienced at Ipswich, or after the Ipswich game.
Hi, Arne. How is Darwin Núñez, and have you had to speak to him individually to try and pick him up after Tuesday?
Because of?
The penalty miss, he looked really it looked like he took the disappointment of the penalty miss quite hard.
Yeah, but I assume Curtis felt the same. I think every player that takes a penalty and misses it doesn't feel well, but it's not only the 2 who missed it, all the others didn't feel very positive as well after the game, because we lost the game of football and they took the responsibility. And in football, you can miss a chance and you can miss a penalty, and that is what can happen if you take the responsibility of taking a penalty. For me, I think we were closer to winning the game in the first 90 minutes, and then penalties is always, in my opinion, you need a bit of luck. But there are many people who say, no, you can influence that luck, which is also true, because the more you train, the better you do. But these players do train their penalties on a regular basis as well. But he missed, and that's not what you want. But I don't want to make anything more out of it than just missing a penalty.
Hi Arne, you've spoken about not having as much time as you'd like on the training pitch, particularly at this time of the season. How much has that hampered the ability for those who maybe not played as much as they like to kind of force their way into your plans? And thinking of, obviously Harvey Elliott has been able to get into some minutes recently, but I think of someone like Federico Chiesa as well. If you're not on the training pitch, how much opportunity does he get to impress you and maybe force his way into your plans?
Yeah, that's of course more difficult because these players hardly train with the starters. If you look at our schedule in the last 3 or 4 months, so if we play, for example, on Saturday and then we play on Tuesday again, then on Sunday, the ones that have played on Saturday, they only do recovery sessions, so they're not on the pitch. And then it's the day before the game, and it's maybe 10-15 minutes of tactics, where it's more walking football than playing football. So there's hardly ever a moment where they can compete with each other. But the day after the game, I'm always outside. My assistants and managers have great exercises, and the players always show themselves in these moments. So those are moments to show where you are, if you've improved, yes or no, and if you come closer to the players that are starting, and of course when they come in. But I agree with you that for the ones that don't start, it's not an ideal world that we have so many games. That's completely true. Yeah. We play Newcastle tomorrow in 2 days. People know? Yeah. Okay.
Just on that, I mean, there's been a lot of talk going into the final. Newcastle haven't won a domestic trophy for 70 years, and this perception is a bigger game for them than it is for Liverpool, but I take it you wouldn't go along with that.
No, I don't go along with that. No. A final in this country is always special because of the fact there are so many strong teams in this country, in this league. So if you reach a final, it's always a big moment for them, but definitely also for us. Because in the end, although we've got 2 cup games in this country, but you can never take a final for granted, and it's not like this. For Liverpool it happened last season, but we don't play every single season, every final. So it is special for them, but definitely also for us.
Just in terms of Newcastle, they've lost their left side in terms of Lewis Hall and Andy Gord, and you've obviously lost Trent Alexander-Arnold. How do you think that will affect the balance of the game potentially?
I said it 1 or 2 days ago in an interview as well. I think in this part of the season, especially in England, it's almost impossible to have all your players fit. And I think both teams have maybe 2, 3 or 4 players that are not that cannot play. And that's almost a privilege because so many teams have had during the season more than 2 or 3 injuries. 2 or 3 injuries is probably the minimum you can expect in a league like this after 4 months of non-stop football. So it's a big compliment to the staff of Newcastle and our staff that so many players are available. And yes, Trent is a very important player for us. And yes, Anthony Gordon is a very important player for them. But the good thing for both managers is that there are still a lot of quality players available for both managers.
Break out next
Thank you.